Hey guys, Matty Miller here with Pursuit Real Estate, and we're going to change it up and do a little story time with your local realtor here in Jacksonville. And I want to talk about one thing we had going on with a buyer recently. Some of you guys know me, I might be a little bit of a gambler. I appreciate a good chase and get a little adrenaline rush out of it. But we're going to break down what we did for that buyer and how that gamble paid off here in just a minute. All right, guys. So about 2 months ago, I had some clients that were looking for a home. They were actually moving back to Jacksonville. They had been here previously and they were coming back. So they were pretty familiar with the market. But I'd actually worked with them before. So there is a little bit of history there with working with them. And they were looking for a home. And we were in that $600,000 to $700,000 market, looking out towards the beaches, Kernan, Hodges kind of area. And we had looked at quite a few properties during this process. And we finally found one that we really liked. It was in a great neighborhood, priced a little high for the market, but we went in with an offer a little bit below asking price. Probably, I think our initial offer was about $30,000 below asking price. It had been on the market for a little while, and partly because it was overpriced to a certain point. And again, a lot of homeowners in this world think that their house is better than the next one. So it's very common to have something that's slightly overpriced. Sometimes that's an emotional decision, and they think their house is worth a little bit more than it is, even though the comps say otherwise, which that's where I work off. I work off of comps. I also work off of what is going on in our current market. That matters almost more than the comps because our real estate market is ever changing and ever changing very quickly. All right. So that's important because our market is ever changing and probably faster changing than it has been in the past. Even going back on comps 6-7 months ago is probably not what today's market is. So that can change very quickly. So understanding the dynamic of the market and even the sub markets, different neighborhoods, it can be in the same zip code, but a neighborhood might demand a little bit more. It might just have more demand in there. They have more buyers that want to get into that neighborhood for whatever reason. So understanding those neighborhoods, how quickly things move off the market and in said subsection of our markets is very important. Setting the stage for that. Here's what happened. We obviously made an offer. It was below asking price. The sellers then came back and asked us if we would do their counter. Their counter was fairly reasonable, but I knew in the back of my head that I'm thinking, okay, this has been on the market for 45 to 50 days. It was slightly overpriced. I think we could have gotten it for less. So my buyers were actually in a situation where they were like, hey, listen, I think we'll just take it, right? I mean, it is what it is. And I said, guys, I'm going to be real honest with you here. I think we can walk away from this and I think they'll come back. I said, now the only way we can do that is if you're okay with gambling. This is probably a $15,000 gamble. Again, already mentioned I like gambling, so I was kind of excited, but they kind of agreed. Not kind of agreed, they agreed. They agreed to walk away. We looked at a couple more houses, didn't make an offer on another one. And 7 days later, 1 week later, that seller came back and said, hey, is your buyer still interested? And we said, sure, at our original offer. They accepted. So obviously, that was a $15,000 gamble. It paid off. These are the kind of stories and the kind of things that we deal with every day. And that only works, obviously, if the buyer was willing to lose that home. So we had that conversation with them like, hey, guys, if this happens and somebody else submits another offer, are you okay with that not being your home? And the answer was yes. We really like the house, but I think if we can get it for less, we're willing to kind of gamble. So that gamble paid off really well. They were very happy. They actually closed about a month ago and couldn't be happier. So these are the things that we deal with on a daily basis, that if you have somebody who's an agent that's in your corner that really understands the market, you can win in this market. And winning is what I'm interested in. I like winning. I like competing. I like gambling, and I like winning for my clients. And I think that's a story that those clients are going to remember for a very long time. And hopefully I can do that for more people here in the Jacksonville area. But again, it was a small success story of what we deal with on a daily basis. But my name is Matty Miller with Pursuit Real Estate. And if you're looking for your next dream home and you want to gamble a little bit, give me a shout.